What's up, tubers? Tio here, Simplistic Fishing, back at you tonight with some more lake breakdowns. This time, we're going to my favorite lake, or actually my favorite named lake. I guess I'll say that. I've actually never been to this lake. It's another one of those that I'll probably go to eventually, but as of right now, I have not had a chance, and that is Lake Tyler. It's actually two different lakes there, but we'll combine them both together, Lake Tyler and Tyler East. We'll do the breakdown. Tonight, we're going to go into the Google Earth version, see what we can find there by drawing the water back, see what kind of fishing opportunities we might be able to find there. And then we'll follow it up with some offshore stuff later on. So without any further delay, let's go ahead and jump in, see what Lake Tyler has to offer us. Here we go. As always, when we start off one of our lake breakdown videos, the first thing that we do is we always go out to the Texas Park and Wildlife fishing page and see what kind of information we can find out here about the lake. So you can see here, we're talking about Lake Tyler. Its location is on the Mud and Prairie Creeks. It's just southeast of Tyler off of Texas 64. The surface area for these lakes, there's actually two different lakes here. You've got Tyler West and Tyler East. Tyler West is 2,224 acres, and Tyler East is 2,276 acres. The maximum depth on these is about 40 feet. You can see here they were impounded in 1949 and 1966, so some pretty older lakes here. As far as normal water clarity, moderately clear. And then when we look down here for predominant fish species, we've got largemouth bass, spotted bass, which is really awesome, crappie, catfish, and sunfish. I tried to hit the lake records, but it does not take you to where normally you would go for a lake record for the lake. So I don't know what the lake record is on these. Now, if you look down here, as far as the species go, it looks like largemouth bass is excellent in this lake. Spotted bass is good as well. Sunfish is excellent. And then crappie and catfish are a little bit lagging behind. Now, one thing I did want to say before we move on, if you're going down to this lake, I was scrolling down here in tips and tactics and stuff like that. And I really just want to point out this part right here. It says boating and personal watercraft activity can become very intense during the summer months, and that many anglers find the early morning and late evening are more peaceful times to fish. Guys, I would imagine if there's a lot of boat traffic on here as far as skiers and tubers and sea-doers and stuff like that, these are some pretty small lakes to have that kind of activity on them. So definitely keep that in mind if you're going to go out there in the summertime or something like that, that there may be a ton of boat traffic that could affect your fishing here. So let's go ahead and jump over. Let's get into Google Earth and let's see what we can find on this lake. Here we go. So here we are on Tyler, or I guess you say Tyler West and Tyler East. Let's go ahead and jump in here to the Google Earth side. I tried to scroll this down so it wouldn't be at the bottom of the screen, but that didn't really help me out because just the way it's listed. So if you look over here on the left-hand side, I'm going to draw this out a little bit for you guys so you can see it a little bit better. And then I'll scroll it up as high as I can get it here. For Lake Tyler, we broke this down into a couple different categories. Number one would be the offshore hot spots, which we're going to talk about in a later video. We'll go over these, look at the contour lines, and really point out why we feel like these are going to be more hot spots for you guys to take a look at. Then we're also going to cover channels and ditches. So you can see here when I click that, if I zoom back a little bit and move this over, these green lines, these are considered to be tracks. And these tracks actually follow the creek channels. And if you've ever watched any of my videos before about really being able to find fish, you know that creek channels are just basically the key to being able to locate and find fish. And being able to know where those creek channels are and actually position your boat correctly on those creek channels is really critical to being able to catch fish. And so this is really, really going to help you because it will define that creek channel for you from this type of imagery, which is usually a lot more accurate than your normal contour maps that you have on your graphs. We've also got some ramps over here as well, lots of ramps actually, especially on the Tyler West side. So we got lots of different ramps. Again, if you guys heard me talk about that, you get on a boat ramp pattern, lights out. Definitely that can be a great pattern to run, and you've got plenty of boat ramps to run here on this lake. We've also got rock, so a couple different areas where rock. There wasn't a ton of rock on this lake. If you look at this, I pull it back, we didn't really locate that many areas where there was rock. So where there is rock is definitely going to be a really good hot spot to take a look at. And then last but not least, we just kind of broke down the different types of cover, whether it was debris, brush, stumps, laydowns, all that good stuff. We've got it all broken out. So let's go ahead and select all these again. I'm going to take the offshore stuff off because I don't think we need that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this over. And then up here at the top, we're going to come up here and just look at this creek channel because I really want to show you guys the difference that this imagery makes. So right here, we're looking at this creek channel that comes down from the northern half right here. And this is 2021. And you can pretty much, when you're looking at it, you're like, why in the world is this green line way out here? This is actually your creek channel. And what we're going to do is we're going to bring the water back. We're going to go all the way back to July. Let's see. I think it was July of 2013. This is probably a pretty good image as well. Or we can go 10 of 13. No, let's go back. We'll go to 11 of 2011 for this image. So you can see here, the water is way down, and now we get to look at all kinds of good stuff. So let's go ahead and let's start down here at the dam. That's usually what I do. We'll start down here at the dam. We'll work on Tyler West. We'll see how much time we have. If we have enough time, we'll break down both lakes tonight on this side as well. But if not, we'll follow up with a second video doing this side as well, and then we'll come back and do the offshore. So let's go ahead and jump into this thing and see what we have. So right here at the bottom, if we're just coming off the dam, obviously you want to fish around the dam. That's going to be really deep in there and things like that. But I didn't see any rocks or laydowns or anything like that that I could mark for you in that area. There's a little spillway there as well. But right here, this would be a really good spot to check if you were fishing offshore. Real good hump that's here. There's a little bit of debris and stuff on the top of it. I could see some shell beds being collected up there and stuff like that. So you definitely want to look right in that area. Again, didn't see too much on the bank line until I got over here. There are a little group of stumps here you can see. Now these stumps can be killer sometimes. So especially stumps off of a point, there's not a lot of different cover for them to relate to or anything like that as far as being out here. So this little stump field here could definitely be something to look at. Also, if you come over here off of this point, it looks like we may have a little bit of rock right in this area. And again, there's not a ton of rock on this lake. So even if this isn't rock, it's some kind of debris and it's off of a point. So it's definitely going to be a good spot for you guys to take a look at. Also moving down here, notice this little crop out right here. Sometimes that can be something else further out. So definitely want to look around that. But you've also got some laydowns down here. There's a laydown right there. And there's a laydown right here as well. I can't see it there. I probably need to move my image up a little bit. And then now we'll see it. There's another laydown right there. And then there's that laydown right there. Now, as we move further down, coming down through here, didn't see too much, but there is like a little ditch or something going on right here where I put this mark at. It's almost like a ledge. And if I pull the water back, let's see if I can pull it back to 2011. It's not as obvious here as it is when you go back up to 2013. When you go up to 2013, there's a significant drop there. You can see the shade, the shadow and everything else. So not sure what happened between those 2 years, maybe a big flood or something, and it washed it out more. But whatever it did, it created a little bit of a ledge there. So you definitely want to take a look at that. Then, of course, this is the canal that's going to take you back over to Tyler East. So any fishing anywhere around this opening is going to be good. The problem is probably going to be your boat traffic. But these openings on both sides, you definitely want to check out those openings because you're probably going to have some type of a current or something running through there, and that's really going to help stir up the bait fish and stuff like that, which is going to bring the bass a lot closer. You've also got a boat ramp that's over here. Off this island, didn't see too much rock or anything off the island. You definitely would want to go fish around the island, especially with the water being up, fish around that cover and stuff like that. There just wasn't much I could actually mark for you there. Now, as we move down here, someone's put a little brush pile out here, so you definitely want to check that out. And then we move a little bit further up the lake. We've got a couple different things that are up here. Again, another little brush pile right here off the side of this point. And it looks to be like a laydown or a stick up or something right in here. So maybe just fishing right in this spot and seeing what other kind of cover you can find in that area. That could be helpful. As we move up here by East Side Park, we get back here in this little pocket that's back here. There's some pretty good laydowns back here. You got one laydown right there, and then you've got a pretty decent sized one right in that area as well. And then moving up here, I did find, I believe, a little bit of rock. Again, wasn't a ton of rock on this lake, but if you look right here off the edge of this point, if the water's up, you've got some debris or rock or something going on right here off the edge of that point. So just locate that dock and then just really fish heavily around that point. Moving back in here, really didn't see too much coming back through here, but it did see a nice little ditch that was right in here. So if you look right here, there's some kind of drainage coming out from this neighborhood or this mansion, whatever this is, but a real good little defined ditch that was right in there. So definitely check that out. You've also got some laydowns right here. Looks like I missed one. You got another laydown right here. So maybe just fishing in this general area right in here, and then going and checking out that little ditch. That could help you guys out. And then moving up here, we're going to get past these two docks. There's some brush up here. Looks pretty interesting. And then again, another one of those really defined ditches. And they'll collect to those ditches, especially if they'll go for a little bit further out. You'd be amazed at how many fish will just be attracted to that, especially if they don't have other things to relate to. They got some docks and things they can relate to here, but that ditch could potentially have some potential. As we move further up here, didn't see too much going on around here. This was interesting, this little cutout back in here. And, it might just be the image that's messing with me. It looks like it's like a lot deeper right in there. I don't know if it is or not, but maybe fishing around right in there off the edges of it. See what you can find. Coming out here, you've got a ramp. You've got some fish attractors that are actually right here. There's two of them right in here, I don't know what they are. They're tires, some kind of fish attractor, probably a crappie fisherman or something like that. As we move further up here, we've got some laydowns that are hidden back in here. And let me do this. Let me pull this back real quick because I'm kind of flying through this thing. I just want to show you what this is going to look like if you were to go out there today. So this is actually September of 2021. So you can see here these laydowns that we're marking, they're out in the water quite a ways. You've got some pretty good laydown there, one there. Those two laydowns we were looking at there. You got a healthy one right there. This probably looks like it had just fallen. Haven't even marked that. Those fish attractors are over here, in plenty of water. So anyways, I just want to point that out because when we're marking this stuff, you're probably like, man, that's like right on the bank, but it kind of is, but it kind of isn't. That fish attractor is a little bit further off the bank than you think it is. This imagery is just kind of messing with you. So I'm going to go over here, back to 2013. Let's keep going. Did find a little bit of rock right here off the edge of this point. You can see, now this is going to be pretty shallow, definitely, but there's some hard stuff going on or something going on right around that point. Plus it's a main lake point, so you definitely got to fish that. More laydowns again, more laydowns here, another laydown there, one there. Then you also saw when I pulled that image up to 2021, there's one that's fallen right here as well that we could have marked. So you've got some pretty good laydowns to go through. If you get on a pretty good laydown pattern, you've definitely got enough out here to go look at. Now, as we move further back up here, some brush, lots of brush right in this area. I don't sure know what's going on, but right here you got a pile. Here you have a pile. Here you have a pile, and here. And check this out. When I pull this back, you can really see these different piles that are out there. So we've even got some more junk that's out here. So you got some more right in here. So once you add those piles, plus all that junk that's around them, there's definitely something there. So go look at those. Those could be, prime time spots to look at. They're really located well off the point and everything. So I would definitely go look at that. And there's also a brush pile right here by this dock, plus a ramp. And then there's some more brush that's over here by this dock. So definitely some good fishing areas right in there. I mean, probably community holes because everybody probably knows that those are there. But definitely go check those out. You crappie fishermen, I'd spend a lot of time fishing right around in this area for sure. Then moving up here, we've got some more shallow rock. Not a lot, but it's like this little crop out that comes out. And you got some pretty good rock here. When you pull the water up, you'll notice that rock is just right on the edge. So almost like a little point that it makes here. And those things are always really good when you get those little points like that. So go back to 2013. Let's keep going up here. See what else we can find. We've got a ramp that's up here. This little area in here looked interesting, but not enough for me to mark. But maybe checking out like right in there, in that little spot right in there. If I zoom in here, I'll show you guys. Because that water's going to come up here. So you've got like this little depression that's just right in here you can check out. In fact, let's pull that up. Let's see what it looks like. Yeah, so when the water's up, you'd have no idea that that was there. But it's right in this area. So that could be a good spot, definitely. I probably should have marked that, but check that little spot out. Those little spots can be very interesting. We've also got some rock out here off of this point. Not a lot of rock. It's not like a huge pile or anything, but if I zoom in, you'll see it. Now, these could be stumps too. So I could be thinking that that's rock and that's actually stumps. But anyways, it's some type of debris or cover that's in here and it's off of a point. So again, those two things are great combinations to be able to find some fish. And then as we move back here, I'm going to draw this back one more month just so we can see it a little bit better. This is going to be your main creek channel that comes down here. And you can see that as it's coming down, it's got a little bit of a ridge on the side of it. So you can notice that the creek channel comes up here. You've got a decent little bend. Right in here would be a good spot to fish. You've got pipes coming in. You got some lay down. You got some debris. And you got a little bit of a bend going on right there too. So this area right in here I can see that having some potential. Also, as we move a little bit further up, we've got laydowns back here. Now, the creek channel really wasn't like huge by any means, but it's definitely something they could relate to. It looked like it had some kind of fluctuation in it, and there's a lot of cover back here. Notice how you see that there's a lot of hydrilla or some kind of grass going on back in here. It could be pads or whatever. And if we move it up, let's move this up to a little bit further up. Let's go. Here we go. Now you can see all that cover that's in there. So this is going to be your main creek channel that comes down. Notice it moves over a little bit. Boats are kind of going straight down, but you can actually be able to find where that actual creek channel is. So let's keep on going. We've also got another little ditch or a creek that comes in through here. If I move this back, you'll be able to see it. Right here, we've got a nice little ditch coming in here right beside this dock. So right there, I would definitely look right in there and see what you can find. See if there's anything relating to that little ditch there. You've also got plenty of ramps, so a couple different ramps in there. Didn't find a lot of brush around these docks or anything like that. That looks like I may have missed. Oh, I thought that was a lay down there that I missed. Nothing there. You got another little ditch that's going on right in here that you can see. It's pretty well defined. So you can look at that spot. Those ditches, I don't know if they're going to pan out for you guys or not. Those things are so weird. Like there'll be times when I'll go, I'll check out ditches every time I go, but then I may only get them to be productive 25% of the time, or maybe even less than that. But there's times when we have found the ditches, especially when we've been around hydrilla and thick cover and stuff like that, and we found like that, just that magical ditch, and we have just loaded up on fish in those ditches. So it's almost like a hit and miss type thing. You never know what you're going to get, but man, when you get it big time, and you'll realize they're just stacked in there, and you'll basically limit out right there on that one spot. So as we move a little bit further down here, we've got some brush that's down here. You can see here a little pile that's been created. That crappie mecca could also be bass mecca too, so you definitely want to look at that. That one's interesting because it's kind of off the beaten path. It's not off a point. It's not around anything special or anything like that. It's just kind of this brush pile just out in the random spot. Now you've also got something going on here around this point. So maybe if you're going up here, scan around, see if there's something right in there. There wasn't enough for me to be able to legitimately mark it for you and say, hey, there's something here, but you can tell by the imagery that something's going on around that point. So you may want to just do some scanning around there and see if you can find anything. As we move further down here, we've just got another ramp that's in here. If I move that back, you're going to be able to see it. So we got another ramp down in there. You've also got some pipes that come out here now. So you can tell that this lake's being developed. There's a lot of stuff going on around the lake because it changes every year. Every time I change the year, a new pipe shows up or something like that. But there's a pretty good pipeline coming in right through here. And there's some old pillars or something right in this area. And notice how they make just a really nice defined line. I could see this being really good to fish around. So go check that out. Hopefully they're still there. I think if we move that up to 2021, you can't tell. You can see the tops of those. So that's going to be perfect. And that pipe's way down there. That ramp's way out there too. So you got some good stuff to fish for sure right in that area. So let's keep moving down. We go around this point. Didn't see too much there. Coming down here, got a little bit of debris that I found right in this area. So you can see here, something's going on here. Kind of hard to tell what it is, but it'd be worth checking out. So it's different, and that's the key, is finding things that are different. Then moving over here, coming off this point, obviously this point would be pretty good to fish around just to see. There's not a lot of cover on these points, though. They're just like these muddy, crappy points, but they still relate to them. So over here, if you look, you've got some stumps or something like that going on right here off the southern end of that point right there, and I think that could really help you guys. Also moving down here, you've got another laydown. You got a major boat ramp going on right there. You can see, and then over here off of Chapman Point, there's another one of these ditches. And so this ditch is actually coming back through all this grass and stuff. So check out those two little ditches that are there. See if they can be productive for you. You've also got some laydowns out here that are off of this point that look interesting. And then we've got kind of moving further up, we've got another laydown that's right here. You can see if I zoom in a little bit, you'll see it pretty good. It's right in that area. And then over here, finally, we find some rock. So some rock right in this area. Really like that. I would fish a lot right in this area. This is like one of the prime spots where there's actually some rock. So anywhere right in here, I would definitely fish in that vicinity around that rock. We've also got some stumps over here. And then moving back here, we've got some ditches that go a little bit further back here. Another ditch right in this pocket. I was just kind of looking at my time. It looks like we're going to have to just do this lake, and then we will move forward and do Tyler East on the next one. So we'll keep going and let's just see what else we can find on this lake, and then we'll wrap up the video. And as we move further down here, I didn't see too much to mark for you guys down here, and I do like fishing around things like this, like where they make these cutouts and they create some kind of a ridge or a ledge or whatever you want to call it. So maybe looking right in here, right around these little areas, and just see if you can find anything right, just in and around where they can make these cutouts. I'm not saying they're like primo spots, but sometimes they'll collect in those spots. They're like the only deep spot in that area. Also, over here, you got a really tight canal. So you get these pinch points, like right in here is a good pinch point. You definitely want to look at them, at least entertain yourself and see if you can find anything in those spots. Now, moving up here, we've got some more ramps. We got another ramp that's kind of hidden back in here in the backside. You may have a little laydown in there. What is that? I don't know what that is. Thought that might have been a laydown that I missed, but it's not. So let's keep moving up. We've got a ramp is here as well. And then back here, let's see what creek this is. It just told us Gilly Creek comes back through here. Not a huge channel or anything like that, but definitely defined. You can see it. It's pretty well defined, and you've got a lot of laydowns and stuff right here at the creek opening. So fishing right in this area could have some potential, or even coming up here when the water gets up and fishing around this bend. And really, I'm thinking more like right in here. You can also see there's an old pond or something going on back in there too, so that could have potential to look at. Let's pull this up, the water level, and see what this looks like. Wow, totally different now. It's very shallow back in here for sure. Lots of cover back in here though. But that pond could come into play. So check that out right in there. Notice how the hydrilla or whatever this is, maybe these are lily pads. Can't tell what they are. They look like lily pads. But notice how they kind of open up right where that pond was. So they're not growing there. So that means that you may have some weed lines or something like that right in that area that you could really hone in on. So let's go back to 2013. And you may even want to pull this up and make yourself a track and show where that pond is and then fish right on those edges. And you could have some potential luck there. It's all going to depend on how high the water is. Obviously, the water's way down here in this image, but a normal water pool, you should be able to get back there. Moving back here, we've got another ramp. Again, some interesting stuff coming out here. Got these flats, so you can definitely go out here. I'm sure there's different kinds of cover that grows around this area. So you could probably fish around there. Don't know if that would be a great place to fish, but those little flat spots can be pretty good sometimes and pretty productive. It's just, you got to find that area that they're really hanging out in those bigger spots. And so that makes it a little bit more challenging. You've also got a ramp here. You've got a ramp here as well. And then back here, another one of those little ditches. So look at this little ditch. It's pretty well defined. And again, if I pull the water up, you're not going to notice that that's really there. So that has some potential. Go back and look at that, kind of position yourself and fish around that ditch and see if you can find anything there. Pulling it back to 2013, just looking at different things. We got a ramp is here as well. Little island out here. This island didn't have any rock or debris around it though. It's got a little bit right off the tip of it, right in here. So if you're going to fish the island, I would say fish on this side of it. Fish around where there's at least a little bit of cover, and you might have some luck out there. Moving back in here, we've got just ramp city. So if you get on that pond, or not pond, the ramp pattern. Now we've done that a couple times, and really there's, I've had a couple people ask me too. So let's just talk about it real quick about how I fish those ramps. Basically, I pull up to the ramp. There's two different things that I really like to fish on the ramps. One is a wobble head or a swing head jig, and just throw it up there at the very top and work it down, and then position yourself on both sides of it. I really like to come in at an angle. So I would come in at an angle and cast more like a 45-degree angle across the boat ramp. So I'm hitting the rock on both sides, plus I'm hitting the middle of the ramp. And then I would work that, from the back to the front, and then switch sides and work it from the back to the front again. And what I use there typically, again, is that wobble head if I can, as long as I'm not getting hung up in the rock that's around those ramps. I'll use the wobble head. That seems to be the best thing for me. And if that doesn't work, then really I'm just throwing the shaky head out there, just throwing it out there and just popping it around and seeing what I can pick up. But if you've seen any of our videos before, I think we had one on Lake Louisville last year where we got on a boat ramp pattern that was dynamite. And it was so much fun, and it was so easy because all I had to do was just pull up my map, pick a ramp, and go fish it. So it was tons of fun. So here, kind of sorry for the side conversation there. Hope I get you a little bit excited about fishing boat ramps though. But as you look here, I mean, if you're on that boat ramp pattern right here, you could spend your whole day here just running boat ramps and probably have some pretty good success. So moving back in here, I'm not going to point them all out to you because I think it'd wear you out, but we got some brush back here. So look back here. Looks like someone's put a little brush pile back here to fish. You got to lay down back here. And then this is all, of course, going to look totally different when the water's up, but you got a really good creek channel that runs down through here. And you've got a decent little ditch that's right in here. So if we pull the water up to 2021, you're not going to know that ditch is there, but you would if you had the card, obviously, or if you had these points. So look at that ditch right in there. It sets up pretty good. It comes out of the opening of the creek channel. It's right off to the side. There's cover around there, all that good stuff. So definitely take a look at those areas and see what you can find there. So I'm going to move this back to 2013. We're going to keep moving down. I didn't see a lot of brush piles or anything like that around these docks. I would fish around this point right here. The only reason why I say that is because it's a different color. Notice how all the rest of them are just this mud. And then all of a sudden here you get, and it's a lighter color. There's a little bit lighter color right there off the edge of that one too. Sometimes that's a hard spot. Sometimes it's a sandy spot that they'll relate to. Sometimes it's just because it's different, they'll relate to it. So always look at those spots when you're looking at this on the imaging. Always take a look at them. And a lot of times, guys, a lot of this is scanning. So you're gonna have to go around and scan and find the hot spots. And then once you find the hot spot scanning, then you go back and you pattern it to all the different points that are on here. So there's a little bit of a method to using this effectively, but it can definitely help you out. So we've got some ramps here, more ramps. We got another little ditch that's back in here you could take a look at. And if you were on the ditch thing, I think there's like 7 or 8 different ditches here that we've marked. So if that ditch pattern was on, I think you're going to have a real good pattern to run there. You've also got some good ramps down in here to take a look at. These are going to be a little bit deeper probably than what we've been looking at. And as we move further down the lake, obviously we're getting into a little bit deeper water, but more ramps back here as well. Got 3 different ramps back there. This one's actually pretty much like way out in the water. I don't think you would know that ramp was there unless you had the card or marked that point. What I mean by that is let's pull it up 2021. You're going to pull around here and not realize that there's a ramp here. You can see that there's a ramp here. Probably, yeah, you can tell there's a ramp there. A lot of these you can tell. That's a really old ramp, but that's probably totally brand new now. It looks like a brand new dock. Look at this house. This house is amazing. Man, whoever lives there, you're pimping, man. That's like my dream home right there. Look at that. That is just amazing. Just beautiful homes out here. But anyways, as we're coming over here, I'm getting lots of sidetracked today. Coming off this point, I mean, that is a money ramp because no one's going to fish it unless it's a community hole that I'm just uncovered. But most people aren't going to fish it. Most people aren't even going to know it's there or pay any attention to it. And you're going to roll up on it and know immediately, hey, that's an old boat ramp from back in 2013, 2011 that's buried in there. And it's a really good hard spot. And it's totally different than anything else around this area. So if I was going to fish any boat ramp at all, that's the one I'm going to start on. All right, so moving on down here, we've also got a nice little brush pile that someone's put right outside this dock right here. So you definitely want to look at that one. And then, of course, you got these little canals and stuff. There's another ramp right there, another boat ramp here. Again, when we're talking about those points, notice how all these points look the same, except for this one right here, off to my bottom right. You can't see my hand, and this one right here. Notice how this one's different. I don't know why it's different. Could be somebody that did that man-made, but if you look right here, we've also got a little bit of rock right in here too. So this can be a little bit of a harder spot. So looking right here off of this point, it's a good secondary point. You've also got some brush over here underneath these docks. Now this dock, let's see if that's an actual dock now. Yeah, it is. Someone's already rebuilt it, but real good brush piles that have been there before that dock was even built. Those brush piles were there. So right on the corner of that dock, check that out. And then also look over here, like they've added some rock in here too. I didn't even notice that. So they've added a little bit of rock in this area. So go look at that. These 2 little spots right in here, these people have put some stuff in here that has really made these little pockets interesting. Moving back here, we've got a ramp that's back here too. Now notice this one, it's off to the sides. You can't really even tell it's there. I'm going to go over here and move this over to 2013. And you can see it now. But it's right here off the side. It's really hard to pick up from the imagery, but there's some pretty good ramp there, and there's a little bit of a turn there. So right in there, maybe if you can get your boat back in there somehow, or maybe just set up here off the side here and cast this way and bring it back this way. But that could have some potential. Got a ramp back here, another ramp back up in there, and then again just a little flat and stuff with probably lots of hydrilla and pads back there and stuff like that. Back in here, you got a little ditch or a creek. I couldn't really tell what it was, but it definitely was defining and making some contours there. If you notice right back in that back pocket, I mean, this is when the water's really, really low too, guys. There's a little ditch back in here, a little depression, pretty deep, and it's right in the middle of all this nasty stuff. Now, I don't know if you can get your boat back in there or not. Put it up to 2021. I think you can, but there's a real good ditch right in here, right around that bend. So in that area right there would be primo to look at, especially when they start moving up. All right, so let's move back here. We got some debris over here outside of this dock. Let's move it back so we can take a look at it and see what it looks like. Keep drawing that water back. And now this looks totally different than what we just saw. Got a ramp over here. This looks like a hot mess, little East Texas hot mess. But over here, we've got a little rock pile or debris or something going off right off the edge of this point. And notice all these little cutouts too. So they've got these little depressions. All that stuff looks interesting. So fishing right here off the edge right in here could have some potential. Then again, we've got these little islands that are out here. So fishing around the cover on the islands and stuff like that. Look and see if you can find any stumps or anything like that around them. I didn't find anything too promising around these little islands, but they could definitely hold fish. I'm not saying that they're not going to hold fish, especially if the water gets up and you can get that cover under the water, which you do, like right in these areas. That's definitely makes it a lot better to fish around, a little bit higher percentage to fish around than it does when it's all drawn down like this. You've also got the ramp that's here as well. And then we are back to the dam and back to where we started, back by the spillway. So, guys, I hope that really helps you. That was a really cool lake to break down. I'm looking forward to going over here and breaking down Tyler East on our next video. So we'll break down Tyler East on our next video, and then we'll follow that up with an offshore hot spots video where we actually go and look at the contour lines. So if you haven't gone out to my website yet, please do. I'd love for you guys to check it out, simplisticfishing.com. You can get SD cards there with all these waypoints on them where you can just import them directly into your graph. So hopefully it will help you guys out. And as well, if you could, just hit that subscribe button for me, share a like if you liked it. And until next time, hope you catch your PB. Take it easy, guys.